not a flyboy.
You're not a flyboy. That's okay. That's okay. We like everybody.
You love everybody?
Oh, you bet. You bet. So we just tell you a little bit who I am and why I'm here. Because we're restoring this B-17 and we're building a World War II Memorial Museum and we're honoring the veterans. So part of our slogan is honoring the American spirit. So what is the American spirit? For me, it's the American spirit is patriotism and entrepreneurship and our veterans and why we should love America, right? Why do people serve America? So that kind of thing. So today, you'll get to go home with one of these. This is one of the bomber stations like you remember, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So.
I've been by it many, many times.
Very good. Did you
Sure,
grow up there?
Veterans had their office on Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to, they had it, now it's down in Salem. But, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's who I am. That's why I'm here. And Mike is my friend. And we just want to kill. I'll tell you, I was just telling him, I started interviewing veterans about 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it has made my patriotism so much stronger to understand the veterans' story. And we want to tell the next generation the veterans' story. So that's why we want to hear your story, your military memoirs.
I'm not very military.
You're not?
I put in 22 months and 3 days and got out.
Okay.
So I was PFC all the way. I was praying for civilian.
Okay.
I was not a military guy.
That's okay. That's all right. You served.
Yeah.
So tell me your name again, just so I have it. What's
You're going to have to slow down with your speech because my hearing is so bad.
Okay. What is your name?
My name is Joel Satoris, Joel Satoris.
Where did you serve?
Korea.
Korea. And what department?
7th Medical Battalion, 7th Division.
Okay. So I like to start with, what is your most memorable moment? Do you have a memorable moment that you reflect on a lot?
Not really. Going home was a memorable moment.
I was going to say. Mm-hmm.
Going over was 23 days on the ocean in a very slow barge. Memories are so old. It really didn't impress me other than the fact that these people could put everything they owned on their back or in their arms and walk off down the road. It was poverty like I have never seen before. Had no idea what it was like.
The civilians.
Pardon me?
The Korean civilians?
Yes. Yeah. No, I suppose when I got my first stripe, we closed out the bar and got to lying about what we could do, what we do. I said I can climb the flagpole in front of battalion headquarters. They said, you're a liar. I said it cost you $5 a piece to see it. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, I climbed the flagpole in front of battalion headquarters. And they my tent mates, were giggling like schoolgirls. And the officer of the day came out of battalion headquarters and said, what the hell's going on out here? And they scattered like rats out of a barn, left me up the flagpole. And the lieutenant never looked up.
That's good. How long were you up there?
Too damn long. My hands were damn near frozen.
I bet.
It was close to freezing, and it was 34 degrees, no, 34 degrees in our tent.
Oh my.
It was cold.
Yeah, so that pole was really cold. And you didn't have gloves on?
All I had on was my skivvies.
That's great. That's good.
So-
You must have had some pretty strong arms.
Well, I was very adaptable, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I could, when I was in grade school, somebody would cut the flagpole rope and I'd get sent up the flagpole to reinstall the rope.
That's awesome.
But anyhow, yeah.
No, that's a great story. I love that story. It's
I
good.
guess that was probably the silliest thing I did.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
So you wanted to be a civilian. You were dreaming about being a civilian.
I was counting the days from the day I stepped across the line and said, I will become Uncle Sam's.
Why did you step across the line?
I was drafted.
Ah.
They said, they had a gun to my head. They said, you will join. I was just out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was there. I was just not, had I known, and I told my campfire girls that. I had 19 campfire girls when I broke my neck. And I told the campfire girls that, had I known then what I know now, I would have gone in the Coast Guard and quite possibly made a career out of it. So, the services are so different.
Mm-hmm.
And I was aquatically inclined. I taught adaptive aquatics. I swam on a swim team, set records. I was good. And surf rescue, surfboat operation was right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You said you were a medic.
Well, I was a medic after a fact. I drove an ambulance, and that was first aid was stop the bleeding
Mm-hmm.
and get them back to the aid station.
So you were like an EMT?
No, not really. I was just a grunt.
Mm-hmm.
Knew how to drive an ambulance, and manpower was there. So
Mm-hmm.
that was about it.
So I think people don't realize that too a lot. You know, they don't understand all the work that has to go behind the scenes.
The little people that make the big wheels turn.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. So you waited 22 months to get out.
well, I pulled 18 months in Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and when I got home, I had 3 days into the 2-month window that they could not reassign me unless I would re-up. They asked me if I wanted to re-up for six more years. I said, and what?
No, thank you.
We give you a bonus of $600. I said, and then you'll send me where? He said, they've got this garden spot over there called Vietnam. I said, I speak very little Korean and I'm not interested in becoming bilingual. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good choice.
I got out.
Yeah. So tell me about the Korean civilians.
What about them?
Yeah, you said they were in poverty.
They were a very interesting culture. They lived pretty much hand to mouth during the conflict. I was there shortly after their armistice was almost signed, and there was cleanup. So there was not a lot to do. The civilians were always eager to learn the language, eager to learn English, and I speak English every once in a while. But I found that after you got to know them, that they were very warm and they were very, very interested, and also very humorous. They loved to laugh. One of the rock soldiers that was sharing my tent, name was Lee Ki-wan, and we used to tease the daylights out of him because his name really messed him up a couple of times. Anyhow, he'd scurry around the tent, and he says, we'd ask him, hey Lee Ki-wan, what you do? And he says, I catch a pencil, paper, take your name, kick your ass. He was a funny little guy. He was only about 5 feet tall, but I would definitely want him on my side of the fight. He was a scrapper.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was amazed at the military discipline in the Rock Army. It was not really very nice. If you stood up for yourself, it wasn't uncommon to see somebody pistol whipped to the ground just because the lieutenant or the sergeant didn't see it your way.
Is that by the Koreans or the Americans?
By the Koreans.
Wow.
The Koreans taking care of their own.
Wow.
The Rock soldiers were not, no, that was a military bunch I wouldn't want to even get mixed up with.
No. You sound like you're kind of a peaceful man.
I would rather kiss and hug than I would fight.
That's good.
So, no, nobody wins in a war. Nobody. I don't care who's the last man standing. You still don't win.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of memories that go along with that.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what did you do after the war?
After the war, well, I came home. I got married before I went in the service. I was just out of high school. And our parents weren't getting along, so I said, let's move from Portland down to California. We moved to Santa Monica. And I went to Santa Monica City College on the GI Bill. And 2 years in, and they said, well, sorry, we can't continue because you can't spell. We didn't have spell checkers.
Mm-hmm.
So I got booted out of college. So I started in a cabinet and furniture shop building fine furniture, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stuff that I ended up building in the next 3 years was put in the Eisenhower Cottage in Palm Springs.
Nice.
In fact, I have my initials on the backs of Mamie Eisenhower's drawers in her teak linen closet that I built.
Very good.
So I could say I've got my initials on Mamie's drawers.
Nice.
I was always into mischief of one kind or another.
Uh-huh. Very good.
The flagpole thing.
I love the flagpole story. That's great.
That's
I never could climb anything. My arms were not strong enough to hardly do a chin-up even.
I'll have to admit, I was shaking in my shorts when the old man came out. He says, "What the hell's going on, Art?" It was dreadful.
And they all left you there. Did you get your $5 from all of them?
Pardon me?
Did you get your money back?
Oh, yeah.
They all paid up?
Yeah, they paid up.
Good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you smoke when you were in the military?
I picked up a pipe because it was so cold over there. It was something to keep my hands warm.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking coffee and smoking a pipe. And since then I've quit the pipe. I still smoke coffee. Still
Drink coffee.
Still drink coffee, yeah.
We all do. Well, most of us. So, why do you think we were in the Korean War?
Oh, Lord.
Your
Well,
personal perspective.
It was to retard the advancement of the socialist regime, because the North Koreans were moving south and taking over. At least that was my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite don't understand the situation over there right now, where the North Koreans believe we are the white devils that wear nothing but bad, and at least that's the propaganda that I get. Now, I don't know what sort of propaganda they get, but according to the news coverage and everything, that the whole Korean peninsula is just blossomed and grown up on both sides of the DMZ.
Mm-hmm.
My granddaughter said, "I want to go over and see where you were," and she went over and she was just amazed, because you had to look up at multi-story buildings. When I was there, there was the tallest building in Seoul was a story and a half. Everything else was pretty well blown out.
That was really nice that she wanted to go retrace your steps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What'd she learn?
One of her schoolmates was teaching English over there, and she went over and stayed with her for a week. So.
Mm-hmm. Did she come back with anything in particular that she shared with you?
No, not really. Just something I'd like to put in the past, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you want to share with me that you want the world to know?
No more wars.
Mm-hmm.
No more wars.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's senseless. Even though we can't agree, we should agree to disagree and still go on without bloodshed.
Mm-hmm.
So many lives are destroyed because of war.
Mm-hmm. And the discipline of being in the military is very, it's difficult.
Yeah.
At best. Well, okay. So why do you think would you say that what we're doing with the B-17 to build a World War II memorial so that we can educate about the greatest generation that made our country strong, and you're right in there, tail into that, do you think that's important?
I think it's very important. The last 13 years I worked, I built all of the exhibits for the Oregon Historical Society. So I was immersed in history, not because I was a history buff, but because of my craftsmanship. And I was able to put together exhibits and make them presentable to the public. But in the process, I got to see more facets of history than I had ever seen. And this B-17 is a beautiful piece of history. It's a dreadful war machine. We built some terrible things because of the war. But I think it's very important that we remember where we came from and where we should be going.
I like to talk about the good things that the B-17 did. I have a story of a B-17 saving a whole village.
Mm-hmm.
The B-17s that dropped the candy.
Yeah.
They did good things. They dropped leaflets to the people to let them know that they needed to evacuate.
Right.
Things like that. So I tend to focus on the romance of the war, the good things. Because we don't want to remember the bad things.
No, you really don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to give you that. You
Okay.
can have that and know a little bit more about us.
Thank you.
I forgot to bring the release form so that we can share your photo. But I'll send it to you.
It'll cost you.
I know. $5, right? Or did the price go up?
Well,
Did I give you a card already, the postcard?
pardon me?
Did you get one of these already?
Did I get one of?
These?
No, you waved it at me and
I didn't want you to have to hold it.
back.
There you go. There you go. And we'll send you a copy of the video. It might be a little while, but we will send you a copy.
Okay.
We're not very fast.
Well, I'm the fastest guy around here.
I bet you
My
are.
chair goes 8 miles an hour.
Awesome. Do you have chair races?
Pardon me?
Do you have chair races?
No.
No, probably not a day.
Everybody's afraid of me. The majority of the chairs will only go 6 miles an hour.
Oh.
So I've got them in the sack.
What'd you do? Put a V8 in it or something?
No, it's a Canadian chair, believe it or not,
Mhm.
made in Ontario, Canada.
Very good.
Yeah,
Joel, it's been a pleasure meeting you today.
so
Thank you
far.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service. Whether you wanted to do it or not, you served, and I appreciate that. One of the reasons I love veterans so much is because I could not do it. There's no way. I wouldn't even have wanted. I might have been one of those guys hiding under the bush that letting them go around.
Yeah.
It's not someplace that I can be.
Well, there was quite a big flap about the conscientious objectors during the Korean conflict. There were a lot of guys that, I'm not going, I'm not going, I'm not going. And they would put them in the medical field or in the clerical field and keep the guns out of their hands, which is, I guess that was a good consideration because everybody had to share. World War II, when I was a little guy, we used to play guns and cops and robbers and Japs and Germans. And I remember we saved tin cans, we saved bacon grease, and we saved all sorts of things. You couldn't buy tires for your car. That was when they started recapping. And gasoline was rationed, sugar was rationed, meat was rationed. I never dreamt that I'd ever eat horse meat.
You did?
I did. It's very sweet, much like sweet beef, much like bear meat. But no, it just, the whole country got behind WW2. And I think that's the main reason that we managed to put the lid on things.
Yeah. I'm really glad you shared that, because I teach the kids about ration tickets and the home front and what the differences were here too.
Well, what Hitler was trying to do it was just insane. He was a nut to start with. And people that try to put the Holocaust off the shelf in the history are crazier than a bunch of bedbugs. I disagree with those people.
How old were you during World War II?
I was born in 34. So I was, 10 years old?
So just old enough to remember.
Yeah. I remember hearing flights of fighters and bombers going over the house in Portland. And we could, as kids, your hearing is sharp and you say, oh, those are P-38s, or those are B-51s, or whatever. And well, we could do the same with automobiles when there were just, 4 or 5 different models.
Right? We can still sort of do that sometimes.
Oh yeah, world was, it was much smaller then. It's getting so, well, I mean, it's so much bigger then, and it's gotten smaller now because of electronics.
Right.
I just wonder, what would this world be if we would take all electricity and turn it off? I mean, literally turn it all off for now.
I think about that too sometimes, and that's
That's what-
kind of a scary thought. I don't know that we could handle it.
Cell phone, I can't listen to, I can't get on Facebook, I can't. Well, damn it all, what did the cavemen do?
They went out and hunted for it. So what do you
I've got this round thing, what do I do with it?
Yeah. Do you remember anything in particular that you wanted as a child but couldn't have because of the rations?
Bubble gum. Double bubble gum. When they finally came out with it, I was going to school in at 16th and Oak at Binsmead. And the little mom and pop store across the street sold candy to the kids more than anything else. They got a shipment of double bubble gum. And they charged 5 cents for a sack of candy with 1 piece of bubble gum in it.
No, it's 5 cents for 1 piece of bubble gum.
Yeah. Well, it was penny candy to start with.
Right. Huh.
And they'd give you other kind of candy with. But it was a little tiny bag of candy with a piece of double mint or double bubble gum.
Nice.
And
Thank
I
you.
remember hanging on to that gum like it was the keys to heaven. And you just, you didn't, oh. And of course, to hide it when the teacher was there, are you chewing gum? No.
You weren't going to let her have that gum.
Never.
Do you have any questions, Dave?
No, I don't.
Okay.
You sure? My big question is why?
Why?
Yeah, that opens the door to a whole lot of things.
Why? Well, because it's important. It's important that we remember.
Well, is it?
It's important that we remember that positive, that's where we come from, right? That's what I focus on, is the positive that we can learn from to be better people and better citizens. That's why I focus on the positive and what was the good that people did, what was the characters that they obtained. You know, people were determined, they were truthful, they believed in our country, they helped one another, and there was a lot of good that came out of it. And that's what I focus on. You know, that's why I like it, I
How
guess.
long before you're going to have the bomber finished?
Long time. Well, 6 million or 10 years, and we say on a Saturday. We're working on the timeline. The timeline is very challenging because just when you think it's only going to take a week to get something done, it takes 3 months.
Never been there, never done that.
It's very challenging. We just built for instance, we built a jig for the wing section that we're dismantling, and it needs to be. It's like this, and we want it to be like this. Well, that jig has taken about 3 months to just build the jig, to turn it, because we don't want it to drop. We want it to be stable. It has to be keep the structure of the wing. So there's a lot that has. You probably know from being a builder, you know, it has to be just right.
All of the jigs that were used to build that bomber are gone.
Yeah, right.
Long gone.
Right. So now we have a group of people who are engineer-minded and have the welding skills and things like that. And then we have sponsors like Ram Steel. They give us a wonderful deal on our steel, and a lot of people pulling together like that to make it happen.
Well, now, do you have to totally disassemble the entire everything?
Everything, because we're going to fly it. We want to fly that plane because airplanes were meant to fly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not really that great to just sit it in a corner and look at it. It's fascinating to watch it fly and be in it. And that's what we want to do with it. We want people to experience it. Because it's such a different culture than today, right? So different.
How about the engines?
The engines all turned but one, and they're in great condition. They have the lowest air miles of any B-17 in the world.
Oh, wow.
So that's a big deal. So you understand. Oh, wow. Yeah, so there's a lot of positives about it. It's also the most intact B-17 under restoration. So we have more to our B-17 without having to go somewhere else than other people do. We have one acquaintance that is putting one B-17 together out of 6 because they have to get the parts from the different ones.
And they're all pretty much interchangeable.
Sort of, yeah, the different models.
Yeah.
Like right now we're looking at the nose cone of ours. Ours is a G, and we found an F model, and we'll probably go with it. We're debating it right now. And evidently the F model is more attractive anyway. So it's still historical.
More attractive than
The G
how
model.
how do you put the
Attractive.
value on attractiveness?
I don't know, it's a guy thing.
All right, I used to have a girlfriend like that once.
that's the guy.
I get in more trouble with that expression.
Do you?
And I have had more fun with it because I can put it in any conversation. I used to have a girlfriend like that once, and it fits in. And my daughter, bless her heart, worked for the city of Eugene, and she just twisted around. She picked up on it. She was in a meeting. She works for the recreation department in Eugene, and she was in a meeting, and they were discussing the minute size of something. What'd she say? I used to have a boyfriend like that. And that totally destroyed the composure of the entire meeting. They had to adjourn the meeting. All right. Damn kid.
Yeah, that's funny. You taught her well.
It's just, well, I guess humor is my partner in life.
That's a great thing to have. It's a really good thing to have. Laughter is the best medicine.
Oh, by far. By far.
It helps us a lot.
So,
Okay, I'll let you go.
I used to have a girlfriend like that once. She let me go too. married for 59 and a half years before I lost my wife.
Oh,
Yeah. She was the only girl I ever took out, the only girl I ever kissed, and the only girl I really ever loved.
that's really sweet.
We laughed and cried together. I broke my neck when I was 42 years old, and we had 2 girls. This is, anyhow. Let me out of here.
Thank you for sharing today.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. I really enjoyed visiting with you.